Alright, today I'm going to change the battery on my 2009 Nissan Cube. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write down the, and I should say the battery's working fine, but it's 4 years old and we're getting into when it's going to become very cold. And since I do deliveries, my income comes from deliveries, I'd rather have everything working well. I just don't trust a 4-year-old battery to get me through this winter. Okay, so I've written down all of the radio stations. Those are all the radio stations that are on my radio, and I've got my key out of the ignition. So it looks like what I'm primarily going to need is a 10mm socket, a long 10mm socket, because I need to loosen up this nut, that nut, and they have a shaft coming through those nuts. Then I'll loosen that up, take this off. I should have a plastic protector around this battery that I forgot to install last year when I put this battery in. That might be an 11mm. I'm not sure. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm going to pause this. Okay, so I'm back with a screwdriver. Let's see if 11mm is what I'm going to need. Nope, it's going to be a 10. I'll go put this on my stairs. probably don't have to remove the nut completely, because this handle will probably lift off if I simply loosen it. Now these rods that I'm loosening, okay, I'm turning the nut to loosen the nut on the rods, and the rods have like a J shape at the bottom of them. They hook. Let's see if I get a flashlight. In this particular case, the battery is held down by hooks. I think I can show the hook, although I might be missing a hand. I might be short a hand in terms of how I can there we go. Here comes the hook. Okay, so I was able to turn that hook from its latch and then just lift it out. And then we should have the same kind of setup over here. So this hook had been it seems to be lighting okay. This hook had been in that kind of a position. The light might be too bright. It had been hooking like that, but I can take it out and lift. So now the whole handle and the whole battery hold down handle should lift right out. Without the battery, of course. Okay, so you see we've got a hook and a hook. This one had been oriented like that. This one had been oriented like that, so that it would tighten down and hold the battery nice and snug. I'll leave it like that. Okay, now my 10mm socket. I'm removing negative first. That way, if I come into contact, if my metal tool comes into contact with the metal car, it doesn't have a problem. The problem would occur if my metal tool was on the positive side and came into contact with the car. Here's a step a lot of people don't do that I think is very important. I'm going to spread this gap here with my screwdriver before I lift that terminal off. I say this is an important step. Other people will disagree with me. Later I'll show you why this is an important step. So I have to set the camera down because I need both hands, but there's a gap here that can now expand because I've loosened that nut. So because I've loosened that nut, this can expand, and I'm going to expand it by twisting my screwdriver in there. And that's going to release this terminal clamp from the terminal. And the reason that's important is that terminal is not, it's more like shaped like a pyramid than it is shaped like a cylinder. In other words, it's tapered at the top. So I'm lifting this off. And I'm going to set it somewhere away from the battery. Okay, and now that I don't have a complete circuit for the battery, now that I've removed that terminal, I'm free to work with this side, and it doesn't matter if my tool was to hit something metal. So again, I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm going to insert it in a way where I can expand this terminal clamp. And then I'll lift the terminal clamp off of the battery terminal. I don't know that the camera can catch what I'm about to say here, but what I'm about to say is true. These terminals are not straight cylinder shape. They are tapered at the end, at the top. They're smaller at the top than they are at the base. And because of that, that's why it's important to open your clamp before you remove your clamp from the battery, and especially while you're reinstalling the clamp on the battery, you want to make sure that you open the clamp and then do your vertical movements with it. Very important step that a lot of people neglect to do. So there's the old battery out. I'll go get my new battery. Alright, I've got my new battery with me. However, the new battery has a handle on it that I want to remove so I can put it on my old battery in case I need a jump start. At some point in time I can use my old battery to jump this. And the only reason such a situation would occur is like if I left my lights on or left something on. I'm getting reckless here. I'm going to have to move the camera so I can get a better view of what I'm doing here. There's a good chance if you're doing this, you would not need to remove that handle. Like I indicated before, the reason that I'm removing the handle is so I can put the handle on my old battery so that if I have to carry my old battery down steps, down my flight of steps, I can do it safer than having to hold it like this. You know, I can use one hand on the handrail and the other hand on the battery handle. Okay, next step, I'm going to use this battery terminal cleaner. I'm going to use this brush inside here, and I'm just going to give it a couple of twists. A couple of quick twists. Okay, do the same thing over here. Just to clean the contacts. Then I'm going to do similarly to the battery itself. And I'm going to do much fewer twists with the battery because the metal on these terminals is much softer than the metal on those terminals. So, and I'm only going to turn in the direction in which it turns easily. Probably see that these are already on an angle. They're not straight out. They twist. I'm going to follow that twist. I'm not going to oppose that twist, in other words. Okay, maybe one more time. Same thing over here. Just to make sure that we get good metal-to-metal contact. I'm going to put the battery in place, and then I'm going to go get the plastic shield that I said I was missing. Alright, I'll be right back with that with the plastic shield. Okay, so now I've got the plastic shield with me, and I need to make a determination whether this is supposed to go to the front or towards the back. I'm going to guess that this should go towards the back rather than the front. Just a educated guess. I'm guessing that there's probably more heat back here than there is up here, and that metal shield might help prevent extra heat from getting towards the battery. Okay, now I should have my little, where did I put it? I've got this. Oh, here it is. Okay. Where did I put the green one? I think the green one was on the other battery. So. And what these do is they help neutralize any acids that come out of the battery. So I'm going to put the red towards the red. I think I'm going to pull that little centerpiece off. Okay. So I'm putting the red towards the red. And then putting the green towards, or the red towards the positive, and the green towards the negative. Okay. Now I'm going to take that screwdriver again. I'm going to turn this little nut a little bit looser. take my screwdriver and nuts. I'm going to wedge my screwdriver into that clamp so that I can push the clamp down as far as it'll possibly go before I tighten. Okay, so using my screwdriver to expand that gap, I've pushed this terminal down as far as I can push. And now I'm going to use my wrench to tighten. Okay, that one's good. Now I'll come over to the negative side and I'm going to further expand this nut, further loosen the nut so that I can expand my terminal. I've pushed down as far as I can push. Now I should just have to tighten that. All the while I'm pushing down on the terminal. I want to make sure that that terminal is as low down on the wide end of the terminal as I can get. Battery post. As far down on the wide end of the battery post as I can get. Okay, good and snug. And at this point I want to test to make sure that I've got plenty of juice in that battery to start, because I'm going to be working in about a half hour. Actually, before I turn the key, let's put this back in place so it can't fall. No, let's just set it down so it can't fall. Nothing else up here that can fall and cause problems? No. Okay. So battery sounds plenty strong, and it should be. I actually bought this battery last winter, last November, 2 Novembers ago. November of 2014 I bought the battery, in case I would need a jump start, or in case my other battery didn't last. I didn't want to be without one. Again, my income comes from running deliveries, so it's important that my vehicle start reliably. loosening this up a little bit more. J-hook into place. Maybe I can use the battery. Pop it into place. There we go. Okay. So now I'm holding the J hook up while I turn the nut to secure it. Make sure that this one didn't slide out. Nope, it's still good and in place. Tightening them about evenly. Make sure we're still good. Yep, nice J-hook. I'll show you one more time what I mean about the J-hook. Actually, I put this in place first. And take the camera, look at the J-hook. I think you can see the J. I don't want to go too bright with my light, but I think you can see the J-hook. The little J portion down at the end of the rod there is hooked through the metal plate. So that battery is good and secure. Now I'll go upstairs and put the handle in my spare battery, the old battery that used to be in here. there's the old battery, and you can see I do have that green ring sitting on top of the battery. Then we'll just pop this little handle in there so that if I have to carry this battery downstairs, I can do so safely. There we go. All right, don't need that green ring. That's it. Battery changed. All that so I could make the point that it's important to open up the terminal as you're trying to slide that terminal down the battery post. That's it. Bye.